What is up, everybody? Right off of Labor Day weekend. Man, I'll tell you, I hope you enjoyed that music there. My boy Jeff Iatarola, Audio Assassin. Check him out. He makes all his own beats. Ridiculous. If you like hip hop, if you like rock, if you like R&B, he makes it all, man. Gotta get, Andre, what's up, buddy? Listen, Chill Moody's my man, too. My boy Sean led me on to Chill Moody, so I had all kinds of stuff, so I'm just we're trying to experiment a little bit here so I can get some music on here as well. So I'm still learning this whole outlook here, but it's coming along. It's coming along. So what's going on, everybody? I hope your Labor Day weekend was good. Obviously, the NFL is back, right? The NFL. I mean, what an exciting week. It really is. And fresh off last night. I'm an NBA guy, so I'm watching the NBA and I'm watching Denver. It was great. Andre, listen, Jeff does all my music on a hip hop side. My boy Nick Pass, who does all my intros for my podcast. I got a couple music guys, and they are amazing. They really are. They give me some really, really fresh beats. So I love it. I'm a hip hop guy by heart, hip hop guy by nature. No matter how old I get, man, hip hop is where I love. So it's where I live. So it is what it is. But anyway, listen. Let's talk about the NFL is back and who is the MVP? I went through something a little different this morning. I know I normally always talk, Philly, and we are going to talk Philly because obviously big news. Jason Peters gets back to the left tackle position where he deserves to be. Okay, where Carson and everybody, I'm sure, is very happy that he is going to be in the mix and he is protecting because anybody knows if they see any film of Matt Pryor trying to play left tackle, they know it was a train wreck. It had all the makings of Winston Justice all over again against the New York Giants and Osi Umenyiora, who just manhandled him like a human turnstile, like I like to say, right? So thank God for that. But the interesting thing is the MVP predictions come out, right, in the NFL. And yes, your boy Carson Wentz is there. So I was kind of curious, NFL MVP, what's your prediction? Do we feel that Carson is going to be in the mix? Do we feel that Carson Wentz can revert back to a few years ago before he tore his ACL and get on that MVP tear? Is he going to be run away by Patrick Mahomes? Deshaun Watson? I'll give you an idea. So NFL.com ran a little post and they asked all their, their experts and their analysts on who their vote was for MVP. And obviously the leader was Patrick Mahomes. Number 2 was a surprise to Deshaun Watson. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. Obviously, I think those 3 are interchangeable. I think it could be any single one of those 3. Russell Wilson on the outside looking in. And then Tom Brady only gets 1 vote, which is really surprising to me. And then you got Drew Brees, Derek Carr, Cam Newton, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, and Carson Wentz all on, as like a 5-way tie for the next coming. So listen, I know the Kansas City Chiefs are obviously they are the defending champions, and obviously Patrick Mahomes has already won an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. I mind you, so it's fitting that he is number one. But how often do we see guys repeat that kind of prestige, whether it's back to back, whether it's year after year, whether it's every 3 years, whether it's the way Tom Brady did, who knows? But how often do we see them complete that prestige? Which I'll tell you what, will be very interesting when you look at this year's NFL, because I hate to say this, and I know this hurts me so much. You see the Philly pride on, you see the Jeremiah Trotter jersey, you see all the Philly paraphernalia in the back. My issue is, honestly, Dak Prescott to me, I think has an MVP year this year. I really do. With everything leading up to the contract situation, to people forgetting how good he really was last year, whether you had him as a fantasy quarterback or, just as an NFL analyst by looking in at his actual stats. And if you look at what Mike McCarthy has done, and I understand that he had Aaron Rodgers, but you have to look at the offensive system. You have to look at the trust he had in Aaron Rodgers. The thing is, it's going to be, it's going to hurt for Philly fans, to see Dak Prescott be that good. Now, do I think the Cowboys are going to be that good? I think the Cowboys are going to be competitive, but I think Dak Prescott is going to put up some ridiculous numbers. 4,902 yards last year. Okay. He was only, and people forget about this, he was only 28 points behind Lamar Jackson for the number one spot in offensive production at the quarterback position. That's not saying, I mean, that's saying a lot when you talk about Dak Prescott. And if you look at the history of Mike McCarthy and the way he runs his offenses, look out Zeke, because I think that the highest Green Bay has ever finished under Mike McCarthy was 28th in rushing. So I don't think Zeke is going to have this tremendous year, but I think Dak Prescott is going to be in the MVP conversation all year long. Andre checking in, Carson will be the MVP on the MVP. He's there, but he's very low, Andre. He's very low. I believe in our guys. If God had breakout year, he's a shot. It's very dependent on our tight ends. Absolutely. It's very dependent on the offensive system, right? But here's the thing. When has a quarterback been an offensive MVP or the MVP of the league, rather, when they didn't have an overall number one wide receiver who was a Pro Bowler himself, right? So I'll tell you what, if Carson Wentz was able to do it. I mean, we watched Tom Brady do it for years, right? Obviously he had the Randy Moss years, and we get all that. But there was also years where you're talking about Deion Branch and Troy Brown was who he was throwing to. I know he had Wes Welker, right? Obviously, never exactly, Andre. That's my point. I don't want to put the Tom Brady role on Carson Wentz right now. I know he is good, and I know he is our franchise, but to be considered a top MVP vote, I don't think so. But I think he could be in this race, but they're not helping. They're not helping him from a talent magnitude, right? We already seen. We don't, let's hope Jalen Reagor does come back. We don't know what's going on outside. I still understand the situation. So you have a guy on the PUP list. You have a guy who says you're not going to play till October. He's getting paid $9.9 million a year. I mean, for this year on his last year of his contract, and you're trying to trade him. I mean, who the hell would take him? It's basically like NFL suicide. That's general manager suicide. So I have no idea where that is coming from. Deshaun Jackson, obviously we've talked about it. If he could stay healthy, he could be a very, very important piece of this offense. You hear things out of camp with guys like, Hightower looking good, but I'm not ready to relinquish my confidence in a bunch of rookie guys and a bunch of 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th round picks. I just can't do it. I want consistency. I want a veteran. I want somebody who's done it. And I know Zach Ertz is there, and Zach Ertz is going to have to do a lot. He's going to have to do a whole hell of a lot if Carson Wentz wants to be on this list. But here's my question. Besides the Philly angle, let's look at the national angle. And my interesting, intriguing guy is Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, he loses his no. How pissed off do you think Deshaun Watson was when they traded DeAndre Hopkins? He had to be livid. It's your number one guy, the best receiver in football besides. Listen, I will say he's the best receiver in football. Michael Thomas, to me, is the best fantasy receiver in football, but the best overall when we talk about route running and catchability is 100% DeAndre Hopkins. And you let him go and you bring in, a guy in Brandon Cooks who, listen, we know Brandon Cooks has talent. We obviously know that. He has 90-plus catch years. I understand that. You leave him with Will Fuller, who has never shown to stay healthy. He's missed 32 games over the last 3 years. That is an insane amount of games that you're missing over that span. Trevor, what's up, buddy? Been a long time, buddy. How you doing, man? You getting ready for football season or what? He's no Hopkins, though. Absolutely, Andre. That's what I'm saying. DeAndre, for me, is absolutely going to be the number one receiver in football. And, right, listen, Trevor, I don't think he will as well. That what I'm saying is, will he at least have some weeks where he's in the conversation? And that's basically what I'm asking. And I think that he will be if he can produce the players himself, because let's face it, he had to do that for the last 8 games of the year last year, right? He had to do that with guys like Greg Ward, right? He had to make do with what he had. And I think this is going to be the same scenario. I really do. But I want to get Deshaun Watson, to me, is what's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy? Good morning. I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Talking a little NFL. Get ready for Thursday, man. Get ready for Thursday. Just so you guys know, the Heat Ratio Pod will be live on Thursday. We're going to do the live podcast Thursday night during the football game. So not only will we be talking our normal 1 hour, 60 to 90 minute episode, but we're going to have live look-ins. We're going to have updates, and we want to get the interaction going of that Texans-Chiefs game to open up the NFL season. So I think it'll be fun. So make sure you join in at Heat Ratio Sports. Hopkins anomaly, there are only 5 to 8 receivers in the league that are game changers. I'll tell you what, man, you're absolutely right. I think, Andre, I don't even think there's 8. I really don't. I think Davante Adams is one, obviously. I think you have Julio Jones is definitely a game changer. I know he's getting up there in age, but he's still that capable receiver. I really honestly think Adam Thielen can be that guy. I do. Stephon Diggs or not, I really think Adam Thielen could be that guy. As much as I'm not a Tyreek Hill fan, I think Tyreek Hill is a game changer if you get him in the right opportunity. So maybe you are right. Maybe you do have 8 receivers. I don't think obviously I mentioned Davante Adams. You have Michael Thomas. You have you know what? You could be right. You get 8 receivers. Yeah, I'll give you that. Definitely. Hollywood Brown. Trevor, Hollywood Brown is a game changer, bro. I like Hollywood Brown. I know he put 15 pounds of muscle on and he's ready, but I don't know about a game changer. I'm not ready to give him the torch right now in Baltimore. We got week 1 preview this week on Upper Bowl. Yeah, listen, everybody, check out the Upper Bowl podcast. My boy Trevor does big things. He's always there for me, always there for him. One of these times, I actually got to get on there, Trevor. We got to collaborate somehow, some way. I know we're both busy, but we got to figure this out, bro. It's been like 2 years, but we will get on that. Absolutely, that's the best wide out for the Ravens. He is. He definitely is, but is he going to take over games? I don't think so. I think a sleeper to me is going to be Courtland Sutton out in Denver. I think Courtland Sutton has all the makings of a big-time wide receiver. Listen, Demaryius Thomas was the guy out there for a long time because he was big and he was speedy and he was able to go up and catch the ball. And I really think Courtland Sutton is that guy for Denver. And they have a hell of a receiving core out there. They really do. The hell of a receiving core. And I really think Courtland Sutton can be that guy. I'm just right. Listen, you're right. I like Courtland Sutton. I'm just not sure quarterback because of Drew Lock, right? We're not sure, but remember what they did out there. Remember what they did out there in Denver. Fangio, he's a brilliant NFL mind. And what he did, he likes to run the ball. So he got a 3-headed monster out there when you have Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon and you still have Royce Freeman. So I really think that Denver is going to be a really exciting team to watch this year. I really do. Jerry Jeudy they draft. They didn't even need Jerry Jeudy. They have Deshaun Hamilton. They have really good team. And Noah Fant is a hybrid offensive weapon out there at the tight end spot. Look out for Noah Fant. If you're looking at your fantasy drafts, look at Noah Fant. Notice a couple more fantasy drafts going on. What Noah Fant is a name you really got to keep your eye on. Yeah, Andre, you're right. God, he does not drop passes. Cortland Sutton may have the best hands next to DeAndre Hopkins. People don't understand that. He may have the best hands besides DeAndre Hopkins. He really does. He's really, really good. But exactly. The receiver, you're right. Andre, that's right. I'm going to look that up today. That's interesting because you always go by the wide receiver coach. It's like in Philly, we know the running backs are always good because we have Deuce Staley. So we know Deuce puts in the work and he leads that running back core. So I'd love to know who the receiver coach is in Denver. So if anybody listening can look that up real fast and let me know, I'm interested to see if this guy's played, who it is, and if we even if it's a name we feel I'm sorry, even if it's a name we find familiar, I'm not sure. Mike says, should have been, yeah, Mike, that's my point. I completely agree. I think that's what they did with the running game out there in Denver. They figure we have a young quarterback. You know, we're going to have to pass protect a lot. Melvin Gordon's a very good pass protector. That's one thing you have to remember. He played in San Diego with the Chargers under Phillip Rivers. He played in a system where Phillip Rivers could not get knocked down as much as because he was an older quarterback. He wasn't as mobile. So pass protection was key when we talk about Denver bringing in Melvin Gordon. Let's see. Personally, Trevor says Rodgers leaves Green Bay. I totally see the Broncos making. Listen, my prediction, my 100 prediction is that Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of the New England Patriots next year. That's my take for this year. They signed Cam Newton on a one-year deal, knowing that there's going to be trouble in paradise out there in Green Bay. And I think Aaron Rodgers is a New England Patriot next year. I really do. I think that's what happens. And that's going to be amazing. Where's Howie Roseman? Oh, Howie Roseman's the number one hot seat. I'll tell you what, he has to be on the hot seat. With everything he's done, and I understand the 2017 draft, you're gonna say everybody it's on Joe Douglas. Okay, I get it. Joe Douglas did not have a good draft in 2017, but Howie Roseman was in that room as well. Howie Roseman, he's going to be based on what he did this year. He didn't bring in the help that Carson Wentz needed, in my opinion. Okay, we needed a wide receiver that could be trusted. I should say. Alshon Jeffrey, we already know, was not going to be back. We knew what the scenario was going to be with him. We already knew with Deshaun Jackson what he was going to be, right? We know he's going to be great if he's healthy, but if he's not, look out. We never know. We still don't know what we have with J-Jaw, right? Altheka Whiteside. We don't know. Will he even produce? We know we have Greg Ward, but these are just guys. We want the guy. That's what we want. And we didn't get that guy. We really didn't. Slade checking in. That's an A+ man cave. Yo, my man, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Did a lot of work down here to make this studio legit. I like it. I know everybody uses a virtual background, but you know what? Maybe I'll use that one day, but for right now, I love the background that I have. Listen, right there behind there are my three favorite guards in NBA. You got to have some Mike Schmidt up there. You got to have some Barry Bonds, Tiger Woods, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Roy Halladay, Barry Sanders. I mean, listen, you got to add them all in there, man. Right. I like that. Trevor, exactly. They're absolutely overrated. Good morning. Love the show. Thanks, man. Thanks for checking in. As always, appreciate it. Keep checking in, fellas. The more comments we get, we're getting ready for Eagles football, man. We're getting ready for Eagles football. And Howie is the final call. Joe just helps out. Stagger checks in on Periscope. That's exactly right. This is why Howie should be he should 100% be on the hot seat. Who gets fired? This is a good one right here. For everybody, look, who gets fired first, Ryan Pace or Howie Roseman? Right? Because you see what Ryan Pace has done. For all you don't know, Ryan Pace is the guy in Chicago. And right now, Chicago just can't get it right. Chicago just can't get it right. No matter what they do, they can't get it right. Whether it be from the head coach, whether it be from the position players, whether it be from the quarterback, right? Listen, Mitch Trubisky. That's all you got to say. How many Chicago fans are dying? Oh, you pass on Deshaun Watson. You pay. These are the same people. If you think about it, think about all the quarterbacks, right? Think about all the quarterbacks in Philadelphia that we passed on when we drafted Donovan McNabb. Right. And I know it was only a couple, but think about it. Because that was a huge quarterback class coming out. Thank God we drafted Donovan McNabb. Say what you want about D-Mac, but we could have had Achilles Smith. Could you imagine we drafted Achilles Smith or Cade McNown or just think about that. Think about that for a minute. This franchise would have been haunted for years. So thank God we got that right, man. Thank God. Ryan Paye, Howie got the quarterback right. He did. He got the quarterback right. He went up and got the guy, right? He went up and got the guy, and that's the important thing. They did a lot of homework. I'll tell you what, if you go on YouTube and you check out the journey of Carson Wentz and you see how much work the Eagles put into drafting him, they literally went to the diners in North Dakota that he visited frequently. They went and they talked to the owners that talked to Carson Wentz. They talked to the waitress that served Carson Wentz. They did so much homework to see giving up that amount of draft capital was going to be worth it for their franchise quarterback. And they got it right, man. Say what you want about the injury factor. They got it right. My boy Nick checks in. Clinton Dix. I said this the other day. Clinton Dix. We should get, yes, 100%. I don't want to hear who we couldn't beat out. He was cut in Dallas specifically for money purposes. $1.5 million they saved. They signed into a $2.25 million guaranteed contract to play in Dallas, and they need the money. Listen, remember, they signed Amari Cooper. They signed Jalen, who's the linebacker out? Jalen Smith. They signed Zeke Elliott. They have a tremendous amount of money beefed up into that cap, and they still have to sign Dak Prescott. So until they sign Dak Prescott, they're going to make any money move possible, and that's exactly why Clinton Dix was cut. We have no safeties on this team, right? No safeties. He's 27 years old. I know he's flopped around. I still wish we would have moved up and drafted him in 2014, but we didn't. Instead, we got that stiff Marcus Smith, okay, we just want to forget about the draft altogether, right? Obviously, but Clinton Dix is an instant upgrade for this team, especially when you talk about now you can move Jalen Mills back to his original position. We already know Will Parks is already hurt. He's out 3 to 4 weeks. He was going to be your backup guy. So right now you have Roddy McLeod and nobody. So why Clinton Dix? I love that name, by the way. I could say that all day long. Clinton Dix. It just kind of like rolls off your tongue. But no, seriously, I definitely have to think that needs to be a move that needs to be made, especially when you're talking about he's already guaranteed the money for the Cowboys. So you're going to sign a guy for the veteran minimum. He's already going to get exactly what he was going to get anyway. So you bring a guy in here who instantly upgrades that safety position. Let's see. We got all kinds of comments coming in. All right, how he gets it right, disappears into the job security zone. I love that comment. What are your expectations? Darius Slay is the best cornerback right now in the NFC East, and he will be a top 3 cornerback, in my opinion, in the NFL this year. Darius Slay is, again, he was in the land of the lost. Let's call Detroit the land of the lost, right? Remember that. Detroit, who is ever good in Detroit? Think about that. Guys just go to die in Detroit. That's where they go. You never hear nothing about him. Darius Slay was so good. And I don't care how much of a competitor you are. I don't care how good you are. If you consistently lose, you are going to get down on yourself. You're going to have a mental block. It just is what it is. You're going to get frustrated, and your play is not going to be up to where it should be. And Darius Slay did everything he could do to get top notch, but he will go on another level here in Philadelphia. I'm telling you right now, he will play on another level. This is a big statement here, but I am not going to discount this. Remember when the New England Patriots traded for Stephon Gilmore? When he was a cornerback for the Chicago Bears, Stephon Gilmore was very good. He wasn't great. He was very, very good. He went to a Class A organization. He went to a winner. And what happened? He turned into the best cornerback in the NFL. Remember that. So that's the kind of deal that Darius Slay is going to be. I'm sorry. Why do I keep thinking Stephon Gilmore was a Bear? I have no idea. I'm sorry. Yeah, from the Buffalo Bills. That's my bad. There was a Gilmore in the Bears, wasn't there? I don't know why I made that correlation for some reason. But again, another bad team, right? You're with the Bills, and how you can only do so much. But then when you get catapulted to a Class A organization, your play dictates whatever that team is doing. And I think that's what you're going to see in Darius Slay. You know how happy Darius Slay is right now to be with the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm telling you, Mike checks in. Who's our three cornerbacks right now? Well, it's interesting, right? It's very, very interesting. Obviously you re-sign Crave LeBlanc. I don't know what he is going to be. Is he going to be your nickel guy? Is he going to be your fourth corner? Avonte Maddox. Yeah, listen, to me, this is what I'm talking about, Mike. Jalen Mills should be your starting cornerback. You should have Jalen Mills as your starting corner alongside Darius Slay. You bring in Clinton Dix, and you have him and Roddy McLeod. Now, all of a sudden, that secondary doesn't look that bad. Right? This is why. This is what. Well, nickel, I thought. Yeah, exactly. Rumor had it. Fletch was telling Slay, if you want to come here, if you want to win, come here. College team. Listen, Steyer, absolutely. Listen, and this is why I think that Darius Slay move is far underrated, and which is fine. A lot of people talked about it, but there's a lot of people out there that think, you know what? I heard whispers of people talking about maybe this is a Nnamdi Asomugha move, which I know we signed Nnamdi, but we didn't trade for him. But this is not that, and they say that because how many times did you watch Detroit play? I'll tell you what. Even if you just watched one Detroit Thanksgiving Day, I almost said parade, Thanksgiving Day football game every single year, you would know how good Darius Slay is. Darius Slay is a lockdown corner. And I'll tell you, I was all on a Jalen Ramsey. I was all on a Jalen Ramsey wagon. I was all wanting him to be here in Philadelphia. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather have Darius Slay. I think Darius Slay is better than Jalen Ramsey. I really do. I think he's more of a veteran. I think he's more of a leader. I think he's going to give you more. I really do. I think this has the makings of the Malcolm Jenkins signing when we signed him from the New Orleans Saints, and everybody thought, you know what, is this really who we wanted? Remember, because that year everybody wanted Jarius Byrd. He was the fly name in that year. They wanted Jarius Byrd, and we wound up signing the mid-range guy who he was the hybrid. Remember, he could play corner or he could play safety. Nobody thought Malcolm was going to turn out the way he did, and he was an unbelievable player for this organization. And I think that's what Darius Slay is going to be as well. I'm very excited. Very excited. Trevor, I watched Detroit via a lot of fantasy football. Listen, Detroit was definitely a fantasy football team. Kenny Galladay, absolutely, for real. Adrian Peterson, be careful. He might take away all those DeAndre Swift sleeper people out there. I love DeAndre Swift, but that AD signing was very important. Slay was awesome last year. He's exactly. And it's that 100%. This is what kills me. People look at age way too much. I understand. I mean, you're just talking about, people are telling me Clinton Dix is done at 27, but Darius Slay at 30, right? They're telling me he's done too. Listen, you have to go watch game film. Go get an NFL League Pass. Go check it out. Watch Darius Slay against the number one receivers. Just watch them. You have to watch them. Excited to see. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what. I have to. Trevor, I always comment, when you play for the Lions, you got to pay Union Fee City. Listen, 100%. 100%. Hey, TJ, you talking about, did you mean to say Jackson? Excited to see. Are you saying excited to see Jackson this season? Let me know. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. But to get back to Darius Slay was a lockdown number one corner. He's going to go against your guys in the NFC East every single week. And if you think about that Dallas team, when you're talking about Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, who I think Michael Gallup is the better receiver out there in Dallas. And you get CeeDee Lamb. Now you can go 1-on-1 with whoever their number one receiver is. And I'll tell you what, Slay can switch off to each position. He can play every single cornerback position, whether it be left side, right side. He can play bump coverage. He can play off. He can play catch up. He does it all, man. It's a very underrated trade. I'm telling you, that was one of the biggest moves that we've made in the last few years. That's for sure. What do you think when no one comes? Exactly. No one comes from Detroit. Absolutely. Personal expectations for Jalen Reagor. Let me tell you. Oh, let me get that stagger back. Put him on McLaurin. Exactly. McLaurin, Steve Slayton, right? Sterling Shepard. You just name the guys that he's going to lock up with on a continual basis. Thank God we have him. Personal expectations for Reagor are going to be interesting, Trevor, because I have a feeling this, and I hope I'm wrong, but this has all the makings out to be the Deshaun Jackson situation of last year. Deshaun goes out, right? What does he do? He hurts. He hurts the sternum. Should he get the surgery? Should not get the surgery? I think he's going to be back. He just needs to rehab. I know this was Deshaun Jackson's. I know it was his decision, but at the end of the day, Jalen Reagor is a rookie. So it's so hard when you look at the expectations of Jalen, especially with an abbreviated training camp, an abbreviated offseason where he hasn't had time to get that trust and cohesion from a starting quarterback. He hasn't had time to get the cadence down from the offensive line, understand the snaps, understand the play calls, understand the system. So, I would have liked to get a more polished guy, in my opinion. I love Brandon Ayuk. I loved him. I love that pick for San Francisco. I think Justin Jefferson is the real deal. I think at that spot, in my opinion, you take the most polished receiver up to that point. I think the most polished guy where you were drafting was obviously Justin Jefferson. He's already going to slide right into the number 2 spot out there in Minnesota. So he has the pedigree. He was one of the most prestigious receivers coming out of college in that draft. So I really like Justin Jefferson. So Jalen Reagor has the speed. Listen, he has the speed. He really does. So it all depends on what Jalen is going to be mixed into when we talk about the Eagles offense. I think Doug Peterson envisions a Tyreek Hill kind of guy, and I think everybody's falling into that. It's a copycat league, right? It's a copycat league. Everybody, you see what the Eagles did. They wanted speed. That's all they wanted. Draft speed. Speed kills. You hear what that said, right? Speed kills. It kills the other side of the football as well, not just in a car. So he wanted speed, and that's what he got. So it's going to be interesting to see how he uses that speed. It really is. As for Deshaun Jackson, to get back to TJ's comment, excited to see Jackson. Listen, Deshaun Jackson, for me, if he could stay healthy, he's going to catch 60 to 65 balls in this offense. He's going to go for 1,000 yards, and he's going to be exciting. He really is. He's going to have games where he has multiple touchdowns. He is. He 100% about it. He is going to do it. It's just a matter of, can his health at his age stay A+. You got a Jake Elliott jersey for no way, man. No Jake Elliott jersey here, bro. I don't do kicker jerseys. The only kicker jersey that I would ever get for the Eagles would be David Akers, because he was the consistent kicker for this franchise for a long time. Reagor is built like a brick house. The other guy is a more talented Jordan Matthews. Listen, Reagor listen, you're right. He's built, but that doesn't translate to being a receiver in the National Football League. And again, my expectations for all rookies this year, all across the board, all across the NFL, are, I'm holding them back. They're tempered because this is an abbreviated season. It's really hard for rookies to come in and step up. Now, in the running back position, I think it's a little different. I think if you're a running back, there's not many plays that you have to understand. You just have to run. You have to get pass protection down. We understand that. So you do need to know the play calls. But at the end of the day, it's north, south, east, or west. Know the screenplay, know the dump off, know how to get out in the flat, know how to get the edge block, know how to chip, don't put the ball on the ground, and be able to pick up the blitz. That's what you need to do as a running back. So guys like CEH and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm very excited to see CEH. Very excited to see CEH on Thursday night. Mike checks in with there's a great pull by Mike. David Boston. David Boston was a freaking nature, right? You looked at him and were like, wow, this is an NFL wide receiver. That was the time where we were talking about big receivers, right? But I will tell you something. Here's the interesting thing about David Boston. If you look at Allen Robinson, of the Chicago Bears built the same kind of way as David Boston. And Allen Robinson is fantastic. So, but David Boston, I heard all about David Boston, right? We heard about one of the things about David Boston, let's be honest, he played in Arizona, he played in Phoenix, right? Think about it. Think about the quarterbacks that David Boston played with. So, whether he had hands of glass or didn't upbeat his expectations or one thing, but I'll tell you what, David Boston did not play for a very good team out there in Cardinal land. That's for damn sure. Jake Plummer, think about that. Jake the Snake, Sean King. He might even had Jay Schroeder out there. Josh McCown. I mean, listen, look at that. Jake Plummer, Sean King, Josh McCown. This is who David Boston played with. This is who he played with. So what do you think was going to happen out there? Poor guy. Now, I'm not going to say he would have been better on any other team. I'm just saying that's where the majority of his snaps resided from. So, oh, my God. Did Trevor just pull out Brian St. Pierre? Wow. Trevor, are you Googling quarterbacks of the Cardinals right now? If not, you got to get a prize for that pull. Brian St. Pierre, wow. That is one hell of a pull, man. My man Trevor knows his football. I remember Jake the Snake, but damn, Brian St. Pierre, whoo! I'll tell you, I'm on the spin bike. Oh, listen, he's on the Peloton. He's on the Peloton. He's riding right now. He's listening and riding. That's what, man, getting his exercise in and his Eagles talk, man. Absolutely. But let them roids destroy his body. That's right. The roids just killed David Boston. But let's get back to this real fast. I want to know, when we look at the MVP conversation, we've already basically said that Carson Wentz could be in or out of that conversation depending on the offense, right? Do we think does Patrick Mahomes win? Who is your early prediction for the NFL MVP this year? Is it Patrick Mahomes? Wow. Did John Skill listen? There's another name. That's how bad Arizona's been. I can't even keep going with the conversation when I see these comments because these quarterbacks bring you back. They really do. You think about some of the stiffs that were quarterbacks in Arizona and Phoenix. Wow, that's a shame, man. That's a shame. Remember, Boomer played so well, and then Derek Anderson, Trent Edwards. I think Trent Edwards had a cup of coffee out there in Phoenixville as well. So poor Matt Leinart. Matt Leinart was too busy at the Playboy Mansion, right? Kevin Cobb, there's another one. Man, they had poor Arizona. Poor Arizona. Skelton was check that. Skelton, man, that's my man Stagger checking in with John Skelton, man. That's a tremendous pull. Ryan Lindley, that was last year. Drew Stanton, that's who I was thinking of. Not Trent Edwards. Drew Stanton. Trent Edwards was Buffalo. Drew Stanton, there's another one. Woo! Man, listen, they had some good ones. They had some good ones, right? You had Boomer Esiason for some years, and obviously you had Kurt Warner, right? And, but damn, that is former Eagles great Trent Edwards 2012 team. I love it. Mike checks in. Mahomes has to be the strong favorite. I agree. Absolutely. His offense mostly stayed the same, but I really think Dak Prescott is a close second. I do. I think Dak is going to go off this year. I do. I think he hits the 5,000-yard mark for the first time in his career. I think you could see I think you could see like a 51 to 5,200-yard mark this year for Dak Prescott and throwing up about 35 touchdowns. I mean, he's going to be that electric. Mike McCarthy's getting they kept their offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, and they got more weapons. So it's going to be scary. Deshaun Watson, for me, is my number 3. Lamar, my number 4. And for me, Tom Brady rounds out my number 5. How Tom Brady cannot be in the top 5 for early MVP voting, to me, is ridiculous. If you look at the Tampa Bay offense this year, I don't even care if they never stepped on a field yet. You think, who are you going to cover in Tampa Bay? We've talked about that on this show before. Who are you going to cover in Tampa? It is just ridiculous. It is going to give defensive coordinators nightmares. It really, really, really is. It is amazing. Mike says, Cardinals, Bengals, Jags need to just fold up. I'll tell you what, I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville. I have no idea. The Bengals, I have some hope for. The Bengals got their quarterback. I like Joe Burrow. I do like their head coach, Zach Taylor. I think he's a brilliant offensive mind. I like what they did. I'm not a Joe Mixon fan personally, but as a player, gets a 4-year extension. They have Tyler Boyd. They have some guys out there, some pieces, and I think that you have to give them a chance to build, especially look beyond this year. I think in 2021 and 22, I think they'll actually be a contender. I really do. I think they're finally on the right path. Definitely. My buddy, what does Trevor say? Lamar Jackson coming back to earth a little bit, but Trace McSorley said Lamar is just laser for. Listen, I trust Trey. Tongue tied again. Bad morning for me. I trust Trace, obviously. I trust John Harbaugh's system. I love how they drafted J.K. Dobbins, kind of fell in their lap. I like what they're doing out there. I love Mark Andrews. I like Hollywood Brown. I do. I think they have a decent receiving core. I just did to be able to put up that amount of offensive production when you are kind of like the only guy is really hard to do year in and year out. It really is. Let's be honest. In Philadelphia, Donovan McNabb was always the guy, right? We never really surrounded him with A-plus talent until we were able to get T.O. here for a couple years. But besides that, he had a tremendous running back in Brian Westbrook, right? We had him, and we didn't even have that for a couple years because we went through the Reno Mahe, Denal Autry kind of years, right? So we went through all that crap, and we got Donovan what he needed to be. So Lamar Jackson to me has the Donovan McNabb build, and it's no mistake. It's no coincidence that John Harbaugh, who was a special teams coach, was here in Philadelphia under the McNabb era, who's seen the same kind of build. So I just don't think Lamar can keep it up year in and year out. He's going to have a very good year. He's a franchise quarterback, but MVP this year, I don't see it. I actually think, like I said, I think Dak has a better year than Lamar. I think Deshaun Watson has a better year than Lamar. I really do. And I think Tom Brady at 40 plus years of age, Tom Brady is just going to have to be protected. That's all he's going to have to do. He is going to have a tremendous year. Kane checks and Kane Eagles won. What kind of season you see Cox having? Listen, Fletcher Cox has to be the top defensive tackle in football this year. He does because, I know there's a lot of rumors about Josh Sweat looking really good for the defensive end position. Derek Barnett is who he is, right? He is who he is. Brandon Graham's getting a year older, so the middle of that line is going to have to be huge. The other reason why Fletcher Cox has to be the top defensive tackle in football this year is because we have 0 linebackers, right? 0. I don't care if Nigel Bradham got cut. We have nobody on that second line of defense. And we don't have Malcolm Jenkins coming in and clogging up the middle as a hybrid safety, hybrid linebacker like a Deion Jones to be able to make those tackles. So Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, and Jerron Hargrove have to be the guys in the middle. If they cannot stuff the middle, we are going to be really in trouble if that running back gets to the next level. I'm telling you that now. That is a scary part for me on the Philadelphia Eagles defense. That front needs to have a big year for me in order for them. Don't the Eagles have? Yes. That's what I'm saying, Trevor. I'm 100%. But Fletcher Cox is the money guy. Fletcher Cox is the man. He is the vet. Fletcher Cox, remember, we all talked about Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald, right? If you want to be compared to Aaron Donald and you want to be the guy, you need to show that you're number one. You need to be the leader, and everybody else will follow. So Fletch needs to be the top defensive tackle for me in football this year to bring Malik and Hargrove along, because those 3 guys in that triangle right there will need to be the force up front to stop guys from getting to the next level. And if they don't, this is going to be a long year for the defense because the linebackers are not going to cut it, and the corners are not guys that are going to come up and tackle and make plays, man. They're just really not. Who's a true listen, that's the question. That's the question, Trevor. I've been asking that question for weeks. Who is going to step up? And that's why I'm saying it's got to be Fletcher Cox. But on the back end, when you talk about the secondary, it's going to be Darius Slay. He's going to take over that role 100%. He will be that vocal mouthpiece. He will be that leader. It's not going to be Roddy McLeod. It's going to be Darius Slay. Obviously, he's not going to be one calling the plays because you lost your quarterback on defense. When you talk about Malcolm Jenkins, when you talk about Nigel Bradham, those are 2 guys that call the plays on defense. You lost both of them. So somebody's going to have to step up. So Roddy McLeod is probably going to have to call the defense. I get it. But when you talk about a leader on the field by his play, stepping up, it's going to be Darius Slay in that backfield, 100%. So Darius Slay and Fletcher Cox need to have tremendous years for me for this Eagles defense to be able to keep this team competitive, especially when there's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs on offense until they get their stuff together and figure out who they're throwing the ball to. But anyway, listen, guys, thanks so much. I just know we went 45 minutes. I plan to come on here and go about 30 minutes. Jigsaw's Judgment every day. Do me a favor, follow me on Twitter below at Cutillo23, at FoxPHL Gambler, at Heat Ratio Sports, and at PhillyInfluencer.com. Again, listen to my Fantasy Fix every Monday to Friday at 3:50 p.m. on the Daily Ticket on Fox Sports The Gambler. And Tuesday's new segment called The Final Judgment. We go about 20 minutes, talk about all sports, 4 for 4, plus a little fantasy as well on the Daily Ticket with Sean Brace. So check us out and check out the Heat Ratio podcast, doing big things. And the Fantasy Firebox. We got a whole brand new fantasy segment this year. We're our own podcast, Fantasy Firebox. We do it once a week. I will be going live on Fox Sports The Gambler. We're bringing in, listen, I am in 2 leagues this year. I'm in a baseball league. I am in a football league with some highly regarded national fantasy analysts. I'm going to bring them in, see you guys' input, get your questions in. I'm going to bring them in the live stream, get them going so we can talk fantasy all year long. So we're going to have Jigsaw's Judgment every day. We're going to have fantasy every day. We're going to talk about stars and stiffs. We're going to talk about, divisions. Okay. We're going to talk about predictions. Dude, we're going to, Trevor, my fantasy dumpster fire. My fantasy baseball team's a dumpster fire. You guys, let's stagger 100%. We're going to talk scores, predictions, everything. We're going to do that show on Friday. On Friday, Jigsaw's Judgment. We're going to talk about Eagles predictions. We're going to review the game that happened on Thursday night. We'll go through the predictions on what we expect. Maybe we'll do some live lines. We'll figure out what's going on for that game against Washington. But early staggered, 100%, the Eagles win that game. No way do I see Dwayne Haskins beating us. We'll get in the score totals and everything on Friday. So as I always say, for everybody out there in a COVID world, stay safe, stay healthy, give us a follow, be safe, and we will see you next time.